Hi everyone and welcome to my Java interview preparation series. The topic of this video is pass by value, pass by reference in Java. Does Java support either of those types or only one of those? Let's discuss. The short answer is Java is always pass by value. So why are there so many confusions? Either Java is passed by value or by reference. Let's start first by analyzing the primitive data types. So let's imagine we have some sort of function which accepts an integer argument, and within this function we increment this argument a. So we added a value of a and update it. And let's imagine we have a variable a with the value of 10, and we pass it into this method or function. Let's call it method better. So what happens is once this function gets this value a, which is 10 in this case, it updates it, and then the function returns. But if we try to print out the value of the variable a after the call of the function do something, the value will be still 10. And as I said, Java is always passed by value. So when we pass the value of variable a, we do not pass any reference to this variable. We copy the value 10, and within this function, we just work with the value 10. We can update it, we can modify it, do anything with it, but once we return it, this value doesn't exist anymore. That's why the calling of this function has no effect on this variable. And this happens with any primitive data type in Java. So far, this Java is always passed by value rule works fine. But Java is an object-oriented language and it supports objects. Objects are instances of particular classes, and we also have some composite data types like arrays, and we usually work with them using um, references. So how does it work in this case? Let's see. So reference data types. Let's say we have a function do something with array, or method do something with array, which accepts an array parameter, and in this function we set the first element of the array to the value of 1000. So we assign it a value of 1000. I skipped the null check, I skipped the size check of the array. Let's imagine that we always put some non-null array and not empty array with at least one element. So, and let's imagine we have a main method. Within this main method, we declare and initialize an array with some values, and then we pass this array into this function. So if we try to print this array after the calling of this function, we'll see that the very first element of this array was modified. But actually previously I said that Java is always passed by value. So why was it modified? The thing is that Java is always passed by value, and this is the rule, and it works always. Because if we just take a look at this variable a um, and see that we assign it the value of an array, this is not really correct. In fact, when creating this array of integers, Java will allocate some memory for 3 elements, for example, in this case, in the memory, and will return a reference to this area in memory. So the variable a actually contains a reference to the memory where this array is located. So the value of this variable is the reference. And here, when passing this variable a into the method, we pass the reference to this memory area. So within this method, we actually access uh, this object, this array, using the reference. That's why in this way we can modify the content of this array. because we pass the reference. So the value of this variable is the reference. That's why we pass the value of this reference into the method. That's why Java is always passed by value. It's the rule. It's the general rule. Here is an object example. Let's imagine we have a class person with two fields, integer age and string name, with some constructor. And let's say we defined a meaningful toString method with a meaningful implementation. And within the main class, we do the same. We have a function, do something with person that accepts a person object. And we just increment the age of this person within this function. So um, in the main in the main method, we create a person with the name John and the age 30, and we pass it into this method. And as we see, when we print this object, we have the name John and age 31. So the age was incremented because the value of this variable p is actually the reference to the memory area where this object is located. That's why here we pass the value of the variable, which is the reference to an actual object in the memory. That's why there can be some confusions about this, but you should always remember Java is always passed by value.